Cause you're a sky full of stars. I'm gonna give you my heart. Cause you're a sky full of stars. Cause you light up the park.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us for the JPS lecture right now. We'll be introducing our guest speaker in just a moment. I want to make a couple of quick announcements first. First of all, I want to apologize about the technical glitches we had. The very first session, we figured out what the problem was. There was a comma in somebody's email address, and that just killed the system. Believe it or not, something that simple. And it rippled through. There was no error message or anything, but we've kind of figured it out, but it put us back. And my sincere apologies to Brittany, who was doing a wonderful presentation, and in the middle of it at the very end, because we were so far behind from the first session that it got cut off into that second session. So we're going to be asking her if she can talk at tomorrow's GI session, because we do have time there. One very important thing, tomorrow, all the times, or we're going to be expanding it out a little bit. It is super tight schedule, and I need all the moderators to stay on time. No extra questions or anything like that. Look at the time for each of the presentations, and please, please, please stay on time, because unlike a in-person meeting where we can just say, let's just talk a little longer, as we just saw, the room shut down on time. So you have to stay on time. Thank you for all the moderators for they're donating their time and their energy to do this. And of course, the speakers. So having done this quick little introduction, and everybody, please update your apps tomorrow morning. There'll be a slightly new schedule with a slightly increased time for each of the sessions. I will turn it over to our GAP co-chair, Marilyn Butler, who will take it from here and introduce our JPS lecture.
I'm delighted to have the honor of introducing our Journal of Pediatric Surgery lecture for 2021. But I would like to first give a little background. First and foremost, this story would not have a happy ending were it not for Jim Worden. Without Jim Worden, there would have not been a GAP fellowship. And without a GAP fellowship, our two colleagues would still be in Afghanistan under a terrifying regime with no hope for the future. In 2019, we brought two Afghan pediatric surgeons as GAP fellows to our annual meeting in Christchurch. We all had a terrific time getting to know Dunya Mogul and Rafi Fazli, and they spent their observership in Auckland because the hospital in Christchurch was busy treating patients from the horrific mosque shooting that occurred the day after our meeting ended. Fast forward to July 2021. When we began getting increasingly desperate pleas from Rafi to help him escape Afghanistan with his wife Amina, who is a gynecologist and an activist, along with their 3 young children, as the Taliban began approaching his city of Herat in the western part of the country. By mid-July, there were attacks in the city, and the family went into hiding, first at a new house, and then in a village outside the city. 3 weeks later, they moved to Kabul just before Herat fell to the Taliban on August 12th. Days later, Kabul itself fell. During this time, numerous options were entertained as to where Rafi and his family might be able to go. Border crossings to neighboring countries were all but impossible. Dozens of letters were written. Finally, through the unrelenting determination of Spencer Beasley, as well as the persistence of a phenomenal immigration lawyer named Claudia, electronic visas were issued to New Zealand for Rafi and his family. But getting to New Zealand was a completely different challenge. Massive evacuations were occurring from the Kabul airport, but the entrances to the airport were basically impenetrable. Finally, on their fifth attempt to enter the airport, an arrangement between the Taliban and the New Zealand military allowed a safe window for entry. Rafi and his family went to a specific location at the southeast border of the airport, the exact same location where dozens were killed by a suicide bomber 2 days later. Rafi and his family waded in a canal of dirty water up to their knees, holding a poster with the family name, as well as the code word weta, which I'm told is a distinctive New Zealand insect, so that the New Zealand military could pick them out from the crowd. This was a stressful and terrifying ordeal, played out minute by minute in real time via WhatsApp from Kabul to Portland, Oregon, to San Francisco, California, to Christchurch, New Zealand, where Spencer was helping to direct the soldiers to Rafi and his wife as they struggled to comfort their young children. Finally, after 4 hours in the canal, they were whisked from the water and safely entered the airport, where they boarded a military aircraft on August 24th to Dubai, and then onwards to New Zealand a few days later. Rafi and his family are currently in Auckland, where they are building their new lives. The children have readily adapted to New Zealand life. Meanwhile, in Afghanistan, the US military departed, all evacuation flights ceased, and the situation in Kabul became increasingly dangerous. This is where Dunya's story begins. Before she speaks, I would like to express my heartfelt gratitude to David Cunningham from Kids OR, to Tej Nuthulaganti from the Clinton Health Access Initiative, and to Belquis Ahmadi from Vital Voices, all of whom played crucial roles in rescuing Dunya and her family. I will forever be indebted to all of them for their willingness to do absolutely everything in their power to rescue our colleague. And with that, I introduce to you our 2021 Journal of Pediatric Surgery lecturer, the strongest and bravest person I know, my friend and colleague, Dr. Dunya Mulgal, speaking to us from Lecce, Albania. So just take a moment while I queue up her talk. All right, Dunya, I think you're ready to go.
Good morning, everyone. 14 August 2021. I'm sure in the last 3 months, you have heard a lot about Afghanistan and what's happening in Afghanistan. And I'm sure a lot of you who are hearing me now have lived it with us. I cannot talk for all Afghans, but I want to share how this date changed my life. 5th of August is my birthday every year. As anyone else, I celebrated this year in 2021 as a young, educated woman, one of the 4 female pediatric surgeons in Afghanistan. Very proud, working with 2 foreigner organizations, such as French Medical Institute for Mother and Children as a pediatric surgeon and American Medical Center as a panel physician. I was living my dreams and making plans on how to have my observership in Germany, or if the American Medical Center going to offer us a special immigration visa to US, how would I plan my life in the US? 14th August, 8 a.m., I went to collect my belongings from my hospital because American Medical Center received advice from US Embassy on 13th of August to close the center for a period of time. It was supposed that we get our salaries and needed documents to apply for a special immigrant visa on that day. In the period of 2 to 3 hours, I cannot understand still how everything got changed so dramatically. We were told to leave the hospital in just 10 minutes because gates are getting closed. I just remember I was holding hand of my sister and I was running. No transportation was available. I don't know how people were changed in 3 hours, the Taliban started threatening us, saying such as like, we are coming for you, we will deal with you, you won't be able to dress like Westerners anymore, and so on. 8 p.m. that day, all city was under control of Taliban. Only I could hear the voice of military airplanes which were evacuating foreigners. At that night, 14th August, they started searching for people who are working in military, in government, and help foreigners, especially US government. I didn't know what to do with my documents, like my pictures, ID cards, certificates, letters of recommendation, and other proofs of my work with foreigners. Keeping them was a death sentence for me, as well as destroying them. I think it was around 2 a.m. 15th August, I got informed that Taliban entered American Medical Center and took all the security footages and our data with them. Next morning, they got all biometric equipment and data which was kept by Afghan government and US military. Then there was no point in hiding any of my documents because they had every biometric data they had in the country. From 14th August till 31st August, I don't remember that I slept 1 complete hour because I was waiting when Taliban could come and arrest me during the days. And I was holding my phone and checking my WhatsApp every 2 seconds during the nights because I don't want it to miss any text or call regarding evacuation. Those days, every communication was happening through WhatsApp and everyone was getting every minute a text or call that you can go to airport to get evacuated. When I was not sure to go to my work at the children's hospital or not. When I was at work, I was making sure I'm hidden somewhere. And if Taliban are inside the hospital, I was making sure to not face them. During that period, my mother's foot was run over by Taliban car as she went out for shopping and she was not wearing that so-called burqa for them. And it broke some bones, which caused pain and swelling for nearly 2 months. That also added to other miserable situations we had. 31st August, finally, I got the call of hope. After 15 days and 15 nights that I felt every second of it with my every nerve cell. I got this call from Ms. Anna Tolorico. She was trying to evacuate former AMC staff. It was supposed that a group of 131 people go to Hairatan Bayadar by bus, cross the border to Uzbekistan, and then fly out to Qatar or somewhere in the Europe. All night we traveled without stopping for a break. Our phones and electronic devices were all wiped out of every document, picture, and contact history we had. I remember just 10 minutes before we arrived to border and leave Afghanistan forever, we got stopped and we were told, you're not allowed to cross border today. And we needed to wait for 2nd of September. I don't know how the 24 hours of waiting changed to 40 days of waiting. We were just 10 minutes away from the border waiting because we needed a transit visa to cross the border to get into the airport in Uzbekistan, where a charter plane would fly us out to Albania. Even bus escorts were arranged from border to airport. Although they appealed to US and British embassies in Uzbekistan for this transit visa, but there was no success. Living situation was not ideal. 30 people were sleeping in one room with bags, no mattresses, no pillows, just carpets. Everyone just forget about social distancing for COVID-19. That rented carpets were so dusty and dirty that I passed flu and food poisoning 4 times only. There was only one bathroom for 100 people. And between all these miserable situations, I was lucky that I made a friend. She was named Faza. She was a baby girl. And she was really cute because she was only playing with me if I made her little sister a blanket, a swing for her. Otherwise, she would forget me. We had to change our safe house because Taliban noticed our presence, as Hairatan is a very small city. And finally, the day everyone was scared of arrived. Taliban with machine guns and a female officer searched our building. They were searching every room and asking, "What are you doing here? Who are you?" And it was looking that they are just making sure of their received reports to come back and arrest us later, because we knew such incidents happened in other cities of Afghanistan with evacuees during those days. It was that day that we decided enough is enough for waiting. We should get back to Kabul because returning to Kabul was a better option. We could find a safe house easily and get melted between the people. It's a big city. But for me personally, there was nothing left in Kabul because I had to resign from Children's Hospital and left my job as a surgeon few days back when I was in Hairatan. Dr. Marlene was searching options that my family and I go to Pakistan to wait for a special immigration visa approval. But border crossing was impossible and flights got stopped to Pakistan at that moment. First, there was few flights even, but the tickets were really getting high in the prices. And then even that high price tickets got stopped and no flights were available to Pakistan. In 1 week, Dr. Marlene told me, "We are trying to evacuate you by another team, Vital Voices." I said, "Thank you," but honestly, I did not believe it would be possible because of 14 days waiting in the border. But on 15th October, I got that call. I'm still call it magical day and magical call. We got the call that we are on a flight list for next few days. The initial plan was to fly from Kabul to Qatar and then to Albania. But again, Taliban didn't allow the plane to land in Kabul, and they had to make a plan B, which was supposed to fly from Mazar, and we had to get to Mazar back from Kabul. Going by a car was too dangerous because Taliban might recognize us as we are a minority tribe in Afghanistan. I got in the bus again, traveled to Mazar. Our car got stopped. My dad got searched and questioned by Taliban on the way. 2 other people were kicked off the bus because they did not have proper identification. And even if they had with themselves, they could not provide it because they could not give proof of their identity and make the work for Taliban easy. Finally, we got to the Mazar just hours before they closed the roads due to snow. The road we are crossing to Mazar is a road mostly gets closed when it's snow. That was a very cold night. We slept the night in Mazar, and then buses took us safely to into the airport. I remember till I landed in the Georgia airport, I did not believe I am leaving, but finally I am in Albania today. Albania is one of the countries that provided safe shelters for 4,000 Afghan immigrants till they get to the US, and Albanian people are very nice and friendly people. They housed immigrants in 2 resorts and providing basic necessities for them. I'm happy and safe here with my family in Leja, Albania, but starting from scratches and getting to where I left my life will be a challenge for me. I can't forget my last surgery, which was a Meckel's diverticulum in a 6 years baby boy and causing a bowel obstruction for him. I cannot forget that day, that it was on 27th August. It was a tense situation. I needed to focus on my surgery because his family trusted me with his life. And at the same time, I was worried when Taliban are going to come inside the OR and tell me, "Why are you wearing scrubs?" or "Why are you working with a male team in the middle of the night?" And if I was getting, beside all of this, and if I was getting an evacuation call, what would I do? So that operation will never be forgotten for me. I have experience of living in the Taliban government I was in third grade of school when Taliban took over the government 20 years ago. I had to go to hidden schools. And I can say studying school for a baby girl in Afghanistan was exactly like smuggling drugs in any other country. And I feel that was a reason to be strong enough and become one of the 4 female pediatric surgeons that Afghanistan had in the last 20 years. Now I have applied for a special immigrant visa, and the processing takes about 6 to 12 months. But time frame and result is not so sure now. I have applied for US humanitarian parole that will allow us going to US while awaiting SIV approval. But with the number of people who have applied and are waiting, time frame and end result is not clear. A special appeal to New Zealand visa by Mr. Spencer Beasley is made, and Minister of Immigration is asked to increase the number of Afghan refugees and approve our family visa application. But it's not a sure game too. So basically, I'm safe but homeless and don't know where will be my future home. By help of Dr. Marlene and Dr. David, I'm working for Kids OR right now as a special advisor on children's surgery in Afghanistan. But my dream is to retrain in general surgery and pediatric surgery. And I'm trying to use my time in Albania to study and take tests and prepare for that dream. In last 3 months, with everything else going on, I had a guardian angel that she was checking on me every day, never got tired of me texting or calling her in the middle of night, day, work, home, holiday. Usually I was calling with a bag of complaints. Every time she was saying, keep faith, Dunya, don't give up, you're strong, I know you can do it. But actually it was her, Dr. Marlene, who kept me strong and never let me give up. It was not me, it was her. I want to thank all PAPS family who kept me in their prayers. I want to thank Ms. Anna Tolorico, Director of Operation We Care, Dr. Duruk, Dr. Spencer Beasley, Dr. Stephen Evan, Dr. David, Mr. Tej, and Ms. Bilqis Ahmadi from Vital Voices, and finally my guardian angel, Dr. Marlene, who helped me a lot. Thank you so much, everyone, for listening to me today and giving me this time. Thank you.
That was a phenomenal talk, Dunya, and we're so proud of you for being so strong through some amazing journey to where you are now, and we wish you the best of luck in the next part of your journey. Thank you all for listening, and I guess we'll join you at the next session. Wonderful job, Dunya.